Hello friends, it's Morgana here today as always, and today I'm going to be demonstrating for you this beautiful scene with the Northern Lights, or Aurora Borealis. So beginning here, you can see a list of my paints on screen. I will be popping a small list in the video description below as well for those of you who are interested. And today I'm beginning just by using an extra large hake brush to really saturate my paper with water. For this technique to work, I would advise using something like 100% cotton paper like I'm using here. This is Saunders Waterford paper, cold pressed 100% cotton. You can see it really soaks in a lot of water and it diffuses the paint that I'm putting on really beautifully. And that's really what this technique relies on. I'm beginning with my Aurora colour here. This is a lovely mix of cerulean blue and viridian green. And you can see I'm just applying it in a big old sweeping motion here, trying to get a lovely natural curve. And already that colour is starting to run and diffuse into the paper. And now very quickly, while it's all still very wet and very runny, I'm starting to apply the background. This is a mixture of Payne's grey and indigo. I'm just starting to brush on here, lightly at first, then going in a little darker where I need it. I just really want to get the diffusion between these two colours, but also to try and maintain that lovely sweeping curve that you see with this bright cerulean and viridian here, that lovely blue colour. The brush that I'm using is a Princeton Neptune mottler. It's 1 inch thick and it's absolutely delightful. It's my new favourite brush. Just picking up some of the water here with a clean damp brush. You can just pull up that road bead of water that sometimes runs down. I should just note as well that I've set my board up at an angle of roughly 45 degrees, which is what's encouraging that lovely run of colour. You can see on the upper left there that Payne's grey is already running. And now for the tricky part. We want the colour to run upwards as well as downwards, so what do? We turn the board. So here I'm applying a nice line of darker paint along the bottom, or rather the top as it is now, and I'm just encouraging that to diffuse downwards into the lovely blue as well, so we get the diffusion on both sides, that lovely natural looking blending which imitates the diffusion of light that is so characteristic of the aurora. At this stage you can, as I'm doing, add in a little bit more colour if you feel like your brights aren't quite strong enough against that the vast darkness of the sky. I decided that I wanted mine to stand out a little more. You can see that as I'm just dabbing in these little hints and little pops of colour along the line of the aurora, they're blending in nicely still. Still getting that diffusion. You must do this while the paper is wet, otherwise it will look blobby. Trust me, I have had several attempts at this and finally figured out how to make it work. So I'm sharing it with you. At this stage, it's really up to personal choice how you let the paper sit. I decided that mine had had enough time upside down. I was worried that the Payne's grey was going to diffuse too far, and decided to turn it around and around and about just to try and get some of that water moving, and just to get the diffusion that you want. Really, it's up to you really how far you want that blue to spread into the sky and how far you want that darkness to seep into the lines of the aurora. So this is what I ended up with. This is it now, it's dried. I decided that just after I turned the camera off, enough was enough. I then laid it flat to dry, as I didn't want any more diffusion. I thought it had done a good enough job. Obviously you can leave yours for a little longer, but yes, once you've got it to the point that you want it, don't leave it standing up, don't leave it at an angle, because as long as the paper is wet, the paint will continue to move. So once you're happy with it, let it dry flat. And now that it is fully dry on the top, I'm just throwing in a lovely simple dry brushed foreground. You can see I'm using my Neptune mottler again, just to throw in some Payne's grey and some more of that lovely mix of cerulean blue and viridian green. I wanted it to look like the reflection of the beautiful sky on a large sweeping snowbank. And now again, just using a little bit of Payne's grey and a small synthetic round brush, I'm just beginning to pop a little bit of detail in. I don't want too much detail in this painting, as the main focus is of course the beautiful sky, but a little bit of context always helps. So I'm throwing in a couple of lovely fir trees in silhouette. I'm going to do some mid-sized ones on the right, a couple of smaller, fainter ones in the centre to show the distant horizon, and I'm going to paint a few larger ones on the left in the foreground. Now, in order to get these trees looking lovely and loose and natural, I'm going to be using my small fan brush. This is a new favourite of mine, one of many. Recently discovered just how useful and versatile this brush is. You can see just in a matter of seconds that's a lovely little fir tree or pine tree that's just been plonked down there. I love the sort of natural way that you get the light peeping through those branches. You can see at the top there that lovely blue glow of the aurora showing through. Really excited to keep that. And you can see how simple that was to put on. I would highly recommend one of these brushes to anybody who wants to paint loosely, to paint foliage or trees of any kind loosely, quite honestly. Very lovely little brush. And now for a finishing touch, I'm going to add a scattering of stars. You can see I've got my fan brush again. I've dipped it in some watered down white gouache, and I'm just flicking it, well, tapping it really carefully, and you can see it's just leaving these lovely dainty little white spatters all over the paper, and that looks like a scattering of stars. Rather than painting them individually one by one, I like this technique because it looks lovely and natural. But of course, don't forget to go over and take out any spatters that land in inconvenient places, like I'm doing here. Just with a little bit of tissue, I can just dab out any so-called stars that happen to have landed in a tree. And here we are with the finished painting. I hope you enjoyed watching this. I hope you agree with me that this was actually a relatively simple and effective way of creating an effect that's really quite breathtaking. I must say a big thank you to the friends whose photographs of the Northern Lights have inspired me to paint this beautiful piece of work. I really hope you enjoy watching the video. I hope it inspires somebody to give something like this a go. And thank you very much for watching. If you're interested in seeing more of my artwork, please feel free to check out my Patreon page. The link is below, as is a list of my materials and the paints that I use. Thank you again for watching, and I hope to see you all in the next video. So until next time, happy creating.